There's something called a credit card that can superinflate what you think you may have as your income, but you have to remember you have to pay that back.
I would like to be honest about, where do we see ourselves with this podcast, and also what we're doing personally to grow our wealth and to build our wealth.
So I do not own any real estate. And that's a conscious decision. That's not because I cannot afford a house or I cannot afford to buy a house. If I'm going to buy a house and become house poor, am I just buying the house so I can tell everybody I have a house and not have a lifestyle after that? For right now, I'm investing in stocks, ETFs, like different types of private equity investments, like venture capitalism I just got into, right? Like Bitcoin, crypto, I'm in everything.
Yeah.
I'm young, I can take the risk. I have no kids, I'm not married. I can do it all.
Diversity in investing is the best thing. So,
best thing.
Not just being in one asset class, but being in many different ones as you just named.
Let's flat out. Big teams, big boys, right?
My highs and lows inherit growth, Mr. Deeds. Went from juggling 3 jobs to CEO like I'm Steve. Never been a rotten apple, call me John Appleseed. That's how I bleed. God can see, no other man can judge me. Call him Mike, Mr. International, getting cream. A single mother told me worth, and now I'm worth everything. Went from Wall Street to Abu Dhabi, straight rolling in a Maserati with women that feel exotic. My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement.
What's going on, man?
Flat out.
Welcome back to the Last Flat Out podcast. We're your hosts, Mike and Jay. Hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can give us a follow across all of our social media channels where we can be found at Last Flat Out Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. You can find me at JLubriel26 across all of my socials, and you can follow Mike at
If Mike was here.
Yeah. So, Mike, what are we talking about today, man?
Money talks.
Money talks.
Yes, it's the theme of the episode.
Dinero.
All about the money. I think today, let's be a little, I would like to be honest about, where we're at in our lives as far as, investments, as far as, just, where do we see ourselves with this podcast, and also what we're doing personally to grow our wealth and to build our wealth,
Yeah.
So a lot of the times I think, social media, kind of exaggerates that, or people may think oh, you're already set, you're made, you're chill.
Just because you get on a flight.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
because you're going to exactly the destination. Remember, there's something called a credit card, and that can superinflate what you think you may have as your income, but you have to remember you have to pay that back right.
And also on social media, we're putting the highlights of our life. We're putting on the trips that we take, certain things that we have, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to retire anytime soon. So I would like to just get your perspective, because I know you're doing a bunch of interesting things on the investment side, and I'm going to talk about mine as well.
Yep.
But let's get right to it as far as what are you more, a stocks or a real estate guy?
So I do not own any real estate, right? I rent. And that's a conscious decision. That's not because I cannot afford a house or I cannot afford to buy a house, but with interest rates are where they are, especially in New York City. And for me, I'm a return on investment type of guy, right? And if I'm going to buy a house and become house poor, am I just buying the house so I can tell everybody I have a house and not have a lifestyle after that, right? I think I work plenty hard just like yourself, and I'm blessed enough to have a job that allows me to live a lifestyle, allows me to save and invest, and allows me to have discretionary income in order for me to, pay for my expenses and pay for all the luxuries that I want in my life. So for right now, I'm more of a stocks guy. I am looking to purchase something here in the city, but inventory is not great. And as a lot of condos and co-ops, you're a co-op owner, as you know, HOAs are ridiculous in New York City, ridiculous. And for me to live in a neighborhood, people are like, oh, you're throwing away money in renting. That's only true if you don't invest the difference of what you can be, right? That's only true if that is true. If I'm renting and I'm blowing everything out, then I'm wasting money. Yeah. But if I'm renting and I'm capping my living expenses and I'm taking the difference and investing it, or having a wealth advisor in my case, invested on my behalf because I have a broker discretion account, which we'll get into later on what that is, then yes, I am not wasting. I am making a conscious decision in capping what my expenses are in rent. I'm living below my means. I'm not, 30% of your gross negligence. I'm living way below that. I'm living in a place where it's okay for my standards. It's close enough to my job. I like it enough. It's decorated. And this is not where I'm going to be forever, right? Like I'm just going to be in my apartment. So for right now, I'm investing in stocks, ETFs, like different types of private equity investments, like venture capitalism I just got into, right? Like Bitcoin, crypto, I'm in everything.
Yeah.
I'm young. I can take the risk. I have no kids. I'm not married. I can do it all.
Yep. And diversity is, when you talk about, I mean, diversity in investing is the best thing. So,
Best thing.
you know, not just being in one asset class, but being in many different ones as you just named.
What about you? A stocks or a real estate guy?
So I'm a stocks guy. Because I've had 2 properties now. And I think it's the saying, and I guess it's with stocks as well, but with real estate, I think a lot of people just have the notion of, oh, I own a property and that's it. It's just going to go to the moon. And it's not. Like whenever you buy any property, you got to look at the cost of ownership. You got to look at the location. You got to look at, is it cheaper to actually rent than versus own? You know, because I guess the first venture I went into was I bought a condo in Austin, Texas.
Before it was Austin, before what it is.
Yeah,
today.
before what it is now, you know. And I went there on a visit because I actually got a job offer down there. And I saw the potential and I saw that, you know, Tesla was going to build a factory out there. Apple was also going to build a $1 billion campus. So I saw that ahead of time and I saw, okay, I can see what this is. And also coming from New York, where, you know, certain lifestyle, you look at the certain rent, I'm like, oh, this is super cheap to own down here. I could buy a condo right downtown. And the condos in the South in general are all going to give you a pool, a dog park, a yoga studio, a
concierge.
gym. Yeah, this is kind of normal. When you go to the South and you live downtown, this is normal. But for me, I'm just looking at it with a New York lens. I said, oh, this is super cheap, without doing the due diligence of, is it cheaper to own it or cheaper to rent it? You know,
Right.
It was actually cheaper to just rent it out than to own it. And I not that I took a loss. Eventually, I made money on it, but it wasn't worth the headache. It wasn't worth the headache of getting the upfront money for the down payment. Also, I've experienced everything you can with just, if you own a condo, all your eggs are in one basket. So I've had everything from a tenant die on me to, no, seriously, tenant die on me to someone just says, hey, I want to leave early, break the lease, and like, you know, expect not to pay out the lease or anything like that, or any penalties. I've had someone lose their job and like, hey, I can't pay you. So I've had every situation with that property that I'm like, yeah, I see why people talk about now getting multi-family homes. Because then it kind of offsets the risk.
Right, because it's a single family home at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're dependent on that one tenant to just be perfect, you know? So.
Which, again, like my dad's in the real estate business. He's a landlord. He manages his properties. And look, he'll be the first one to tell me like, oh, you should be buying, blah, blah, blah. But I think like now he's starting to come around. Like this is not the same market he bought when he bought in the George Bush era when they were giving 100%. They were giving away homes.
They're giving them away.
120. You want money out? Day one? Here you go. You got them too, right? And that's what caused the bubble.
Yeah.
And that allowed a lot of people to that allowed a lot of people who otherwise in any other point in history would not be able to have owned the home, but allowed them access to the real estate market.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused a lot of defaults, right? To a lot of people who couldn't afford them in the first place. But homes are so expensive now. And like, you and I make good money and it's still tough for people in our range. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't imagine people who are just like working class Americans in New York. Forget about that. You're barely paying rent.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that, and real estate is not a passive business. It's not passive income.
Yeah.
It's an active business that you have to actively manage all the time when it comes to tenancy, communication, managing the property. If the damn boiler breaks, if anything breaks, right, you're the landlord. You got to fix it. So stocks don't do that to me. Stocks, they just give me dividends, returns, and You know, it's a boring. The more boring the asset class, generally, the better it is for generating long-term wealth.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's a slow growth.
It's slow,
It's
right?
not quick,
It's like what is
and it's not a one-time deposit, and then you're gonna be.
No, you got to continue. No, you got to continue.
It's consistency.
Consistency. It teaches you a lot. What do they say? The first 10. I was talking to my brother about this the other day. That first $10,000 that you have to save is a bitch.
Mhm.
Right? Because it teaches you like, damn, this is all me and I have to save this 10 grand. Then going from 10 to 100K, that's another bitch because you're like, there's almost no compounding growth there.
Yeah.
And then going from like 100K to 500K, 500K to a million plus, you don't really see the compounding effects until you get into the 7 figures. Then you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like I was like, oh, I just made 70K in a day.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
3%. You like
that 2-3%
Yeah.
on a large amount of money is still pretty good. 10% on 100K is $10,000.
Yeah.
10% on $10 million is $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's a year you could make $1 million passively without you thinking about it, right? And over the life of the S&P, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice at all. But just the S&P historically, if you go look at it, this is all publicly available. It's grown 10 to 11% a year over year. Obviously, you have the years that are way up, like in the recession, and way down, like in the Great Depression. Putting those aside, it's 10 to 11% a year. Real estate does not grow 10 to 11% a year. And it's an illiquid asset class because you have to then refinance it. You can't sell it right away. It's not just money in, money out. It's the cost of ownership, property insurance, mortgages, repairs that you have to put on. You also have to take into account the cost of inflation, right? Because $1 yesterday is not $1 today. So there's a whole bunch of calculations to actually see what the real dollars are from a real estate investment versus a thing like stocks. And if you're in a relatively low cost index fund that follows the S&P 500, you're not going to spend nearly as much there as you would in real estate. With that being said, if you find a good opportunity to buy real estate where you're making cash and cash over cash or returns on your investments over a certain threshold, definitely jump into it. Right? But just know it's not a passive investment.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's appealing for people with real estate is you're kind of, you're making money on, not on what you invested, but I guess with the
on leverage.
Yeah, you're leveraging.
It's like an LBO in private equity. Like you're basically putting up the house as collateral.
Yep.
You're putting a small amount of money in, right? You're just throwing in 5-10%, whatever it may be, the FHA stuff, right? And then you're buying the property based upon leverage. If you buy other people's rent money, your tenants' money, it's going into your pocket to pay an asset, to pay for the debt that you didn't have to put your own money in. That's great.
Yeah.
The problem becomes when they stop paying you and you are depending on that rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, if you could get a great opportunity and if just stars align and all that, great tenancy and all that, it's perfect. It's a perfect way to leverage your money and to grow it quickly in that sense. We're pretty much in our mid to senior parts of our career and all that. So it's gotten a little easier for us, but let's talk about how did you start? Because sometimes I see people now that they start off with, instead of the asset classes that are traditional or that has the history behind it, like a real estate or stocks, they'll start off with like either a penny stock or even like cryptocurrency that isn't even known. And cryptocurrency is pretty new, but you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, like that, but they'll start off with Dogecoin or even
I wouldn't even go down that route, right? So I have a 16-year-old, about to be 16-year-old brother.
And
right?
How did you start?
And I'll give for the start. So the way I started investing was actually not okay. So the way I started investing, because I was always into investing. So I started really investing when I was like 22, 21 years old.
Okay.
I didn't have anybody in my family who talked about money. I didn't have anybody who talked to me about investing. It was literally just proximity and networking of people, me just hearing people in law school, me people hearing the senior year of college, like, oh, this is what I should be doing with my money, right? So literally the worst thing, it was the worst, and now it's one of my best pieces of my asset class. So I bought myself a whole life insurance policy, which at that time wasn't something that I needed because I don't need to protect myself against kids. I don't have any kids to pass down to, but it was so damn cheap, right? And I got a bunch like, it's a way where I could be my own bank, right? Later on in life when it builds enough cash value, right? But I didn't need it. I didn't really need a life insurance policy at that age,
So
right?
explain the difference of whole life, because I have
A term?
I have term life. I don't know why, but it was cheap. I had term life. But just so people know, term life is when you get life insurance and it's for a certain term. So I got life insurance for like 25 years or 20 years.
Yeah. So if God forbid something happens to you,
yeah, it'll get paid out. But if the term runs out, so say 20 years from now, hopefully it runs out. 20 years from now, I'm still here. That's it. Whatever I paid into it, that's it. I just lose that money. It doesn't get paid out.
yeah, whatever then the money that you lost is whatever your premium is worth. That's it, right? Because the life insurance company is betting that you will be healthy.
Yeah.
Right. And you will outlive the term of the policy. Yeah. But it gets more expensive as you buy in your 50s and your 60s or whatever it may be. A whole life covers you for the entire year of life. That's actually not true. It covers you up to like 95 or 100, depending on what the policy would be, right? But it covers you for a lot longer than the term would be, but it's a lot more expensive because they have to cover, they're on the hook essentially for your natural life. And there could be a big payout depending on what your premiums are and depending on the age that you're at. Like I got it super, super, super young. So if you see my projections, it's insane. Where literally, and the reason why me and my wealth advisor were just going back and forth the other day, just saying like, this is actually like could be one of the strongest pieces of your portfolio later on in your life, because it will have accumulated so much cash value that I could become my own piggy bank. I can borrow against it like a bank. And that's how wealthy people do that. That's how the Rockefellers fund their trust funds, right? If you read the Vanderbilts, they buy a whole bunch of life insurance policies. And when one of them dies or they need to borrow against it, they borrow against the life insurance policy, and you're borrowing against yourself because you don't have to pay it back.
Now, have you ever done the calculation if instead of paying the whole life insurance, you put that in the market?
But I have that too. Like we'll get into that. That's not the only thing I have. Like, just explain one thing. I'm explaining to you what I have. But like, just telling you, that's how I got into it, right? Okay. That's how I got into it. In law school, one of my law school classmates was a wealth advisor already. And him and somebody else in my, I was like 22 at this point. He was like, and I had some money saved up like in a high yield investment account. Like I was always good at saving money. And it was like, yo, like, how much money do you have? Like, my firm has a minimum that you have to go into. It was one of those things. I was like, I don't think I meet your minimum. He's like, yo, why don't you just like come and talk to me? Because he's like, oh, he's young. Mm-hmm. And he was older than me.
Yeah.
So, bro, like, I remember the first day that we pulled the trigger was I had a bunch of money. And I said, I want to go in after Brexit when everything drops. I think Brexit is going to happen. It was a risk. I was timing the market at that point because I was like, oh, if Brexit doesn't happen, everything's going to shoot up and I'm going to come into a higher cost basis, right? Brexit happened, bro, and we went boom right into it, right? As soon as I remember stocks dropping that day.
Yeah.
And that was like, I remember I started really small. I had maybe like 10,000, 11,000, something like that. It's nothing, but at the time it was a lot for me, right? Yeah. I was like 22 years old, right? Like I was like, oh, like I have $10,000. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna put it here, right? And then he was like, he's the one who taught me like you have to keep contributing, right? This was a brokerage account, right? You have to keep contributing, and I always contributed in my 401k since I started. So I already had a 401k, I already have a Roth IRA, I already had a life insurance policy. I got a brokerage account, right? So this was like my taxable brokerage account that I'm now investing in. So every month, I remember him saying, this is how much you make. This is how much needs to go in here. And we just have a system. I've been using the same system for the last 15 years of my life. This is how much goes into the brokerage account. This is how much goes into my savings account for my expenses. And this is how much you have left to play with. Mm-hmm. If you overspend in your lifestyle expenses, the thing that comes out is going to be your discretionary income. But what always gets paid is yourself. Yep. I always pay myself. And that always comes off the top. Like I don't count on that money. I pretend I don't see it. That's why you see those memes of saying, oh, like I don't have any money, even though you see like a bunch of other accounts that are filled. But if there's no money this month for me to have fun, I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, because they're like, YOLO, I need to live my life. Let me stop saving. And then that creates bad habits. Yeah. So anyway, I got involved with $10,000 when I was like 22 years old. Mm-hmm. It was by the grace of one of my good friends in law school, who now his brother manages my account for a multitude of reasons, but like it stayed in the family, and they've been good to me. Nice returns.
Nice.
So like great returns. They've been good to me. And honestly, I'm so young and they show me my projections. I'm just like, on a conservative basis, I'm gonna be just all right. I've stopped having anxiety about money because I know that if I continue to do what I'm doing, which is slow, methodical, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. And you don't have a job where it's where you have a where you have a pension where it's gonna be guaranteed income. So, and me either. So it's like we have to make.
You kind of do though.
No, I don't have a pension.
I mean, you got the state fund, no? They pay you the service benefit and the service benefit.
It's not a retirement.
my
retirement that I'm like,
okay,
hey, I get this salary every year for the rest of my life. That's not. If that was that, you would never see me out here again. I'm like, yeah, it's over. I'm like, but no, it's not that. So. Just a little payout when you leave.
It's nice you've been there 11 years, though. It should be good.
Yeah, but I think most companies have that, though.
Severance like that? Like the UAE has some very generous calculations, brother.
Honestly, I gotta check my contract.
You probably check your contract. Anyway.
Yeah. But no, I would say for me, the first time, so I've always worked for companies in the financial industry. So that helps being surrounded by it. And I was fortunate enough to have a career in the industry, because who knows if I would have educated myself so much or just been around the environment to learn so much. But definitely the first step was the 401k.
That's the first one.
401k is, whether you know about it or not, it's for your retirement account. It brings down your taxable income. So you could save on taxes that way. And it's just, at first I remember it's like, oh, this is something that's a benefit, and you're gonna match that as well. You're gonna match whatever I put in.
Up to a certain amount.
Yeah, up to a certain amount. Well, for the most part, whatever I was putting in at that time. So,
that first job out of school.
Exactly. Like, matching everything. So,
yeah.
So I was putting money in there. And then what I guess what shocked me was just seeing it just grow. Like, I know how much I put in principal, then I'll get free money from the job because they was matching it, and then seeing that principal then grow. Just looking at how the stock market did, and the 401ks were pretty boring. It was pretty safe. Most of these companies, they're not going to let you choose individual stocks. It's going to be mutual funds and things like that.
Make caps, low caps, international.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great
entryway.
Yeah. Because you see how it's steadily growing, and then just the curiosity in myself was like, okay, what's actually in this mutual fund? What is comprised of this one mutual fund that is making it grow? And then you start seeing the common names when there's a large blend stock or something like that. You'll see the Apples, the Microsofts, and things like that. And you're like, oh, if I would have just bought this individually, I'd have made way more money. So
Mike has a lot of war stories.
No, not war. So honestly, I swear I'm a great stock picker. If I pick the stock, just go with it.
Just go with it. Just don't get out.
Don't get out when I get out.
Don't get out when Mike gets out.
It won't be an L, but you can make a lot more,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from there, from the 401k, it started off then like, oh, let me try this myself, with individual stocks. And just, for me, I don't try to make investing complicated. I buy what I love. I buy the products that I'm like, I use this every day. I see this every day. I'm into Microsoft now. Microsoft, if you've had any corporate job, Microsoft is always here to stay.
Yeah.
And they own a percentage of OpenAI, so they're ahead of the curve with that. Apple, I know it's not the best phone technology-wise, but I'm like, they got us hooked like it's crack.
Yeah.
And it's not going away either. So I'm like, those are sort of the individual stocks that I get. And then I'll try to keep it in general where it's like, okay, let me get an ETF, that's the S&P 500. And then I'll really dig down into, now you have these semiconductors, and then also you have nuclear energy, which is going to power AI.
The nuclear energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a couple individual stock plays, obviously with the consultation of my wealth advisor, but nuclear energy.
That's where
or recycling that energy.
Yeah.
that I'm telling you, there's a lot of
So I haven't had time to dig into the individual stocks. So I just said, let me get the ETF. So when I don't
I got
have
a
time to
couple
do
picks for you
research,
if you want to get in. But like, yeah, no, it's true.
yeah. So that's how I tend to play. And then also I want people to know, like, so I've actually, before I came to the UAE, and I've done bad at this as far as constantly contributing to the Roth IRA and even my 401k. Like I've done a bad job in it, but I have done a great job as far as my 401k. When I rolled it over into HSBC, and then their 401k is super flexible. I can invest in anything I want, ETFs, individual stocks. And I told you, I think I'm a good stock picker. Like I've been growing that account where I'm like, people knock the 401ks, oh, it's never gonna grow. If you ever get a chance to have your 401k where you have the flexibility to grow it, I mean, to like choose whatever you want, man, it's like I feel like I'm gonna be a 401k millionaire like that just off of that alone. Because now, like you said, when you have some dollars to play with, not just 10,000, but when it's like, oh, I have a couple of
Got a couple.
I
got
got
a
some
couple
things in
zeros
there.
now.
Then you see it grow from, oh, I'm in the six figures now. Oh, it's getting, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I remember when I reached my first 100K,
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that was hard. And then I was like,
Yeah.
all right, how do I go from 100 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, like, and then keeps going. And you're just like, hold on, this is just a patience, continuously contributing and sticking with it. Don't check the account. Don't check the account. Just go in. Unless in my case, I'm a lawyer. I can't stock pick. First of all, the SEC would be on my ass tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I have access to confidential information. I know when things are going to happen to the market before they do generally, right? Like, so I have to get broker discretion account.
Oh, that's why you,
Yeah, that's why I have a wealth advisor. I have to get the broker discretion account because it'd be very weird for me to start picking stocks on my own. I could, but then I have to report it to my law firm. I have to get clearance from my law firm. By the time I'm gonna make the pick, like the train may have passed, right? Mm-hmm. So I have to have somebody who manages my wealth, and I have had somebody who has helped me in learning about money, thinking about how money works, right? And seeing how wealthy people think about money, leverage, and using debt correctly. Credit card debt, bad debt.
Yeah.
Right? Terrible debt. Bank debt, depending on what year it is. Because sometimes people will take bank debt for a deal they have on the back end. They don't want to use their own money that they know they're going to make money on. Yeah. So they'll use somebody else's money, pay the little bit of fees to the bank, pay them back when this cashes out, and then they just receive the profits. Yeah. Just using somebody else's money. The problem with bank debt is when you go into an investment or buying a house that you know is too over leveraged and you're on the water.
Yeah.
Right? Or going on a vacation you can't afford, or buying clothes you shouldn't be buying, or buying jewelry that you know you can't actually afford with yourself, right? That's how you get into trouble with this stuff, right? Yeah. Like for me, like rich is the things that you can see, right? Wealth are the things that you can't see, right? And then extreme wealth is like, for me, things that you can't see with money that you have, right? To make other investments to keep the money going, right? So, I mean, if you want to go ahead and get enamored with the stuff that you see, going back to your point about social media, like social media has made it seem like everybody's rich. Yeah. And we know that's not the case, right? Like we know that most people are capping out there. Yeah. And also like...
And most rich people, they're not liquid rich. A lot of rich people, a lot of their stuff is tied up into stocks,
real estate
assets, real estate portfolio. Yeah, it's not, a lot of things aren't liquid. Yeah, exactly.
Paper rich. It's not, they don't have liquidity, and like liquidity is king, cash is king. So like, it's tough, man. Like just from the time when I was in my 20s to now that I'm in my mid 30s, I see money a lot differently. I see it now as like a real tool, right? And when I was broke and when you're on the other side of poverty, like I was, you don't ever want to go back. You tend to understand like, okay, like I've never met a rich person who wants to give their money back, but I've always met a lot of broke people who needed more dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying money is the end all be all, but money touches everything you do. From the podcast that we're recording, to the transportation that we took to get here, to the pre-meeting that we had right before this to have an appetizer, right? Like to the dinner we're about to have after this to talk about what we're doing later on in the week. it just touches everything, right? So like when the sooner you come to realize like, hey, money is going to affect most, if not everything that I do in my life. Let me learn about money. Let me not run away from this thing that I don't know how to manage. Learn how to manage it. Learn how to manage $500. Learn how to manage $1,000. Because if you don't know how to manage $1,000 or $10,000, you're not gonna know what to do with $100K.
Exactly.
Right? Like, so you need to learn how to manage it along the way. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Right?
And I wanted to just let our audience know that you don't have to start off with $10,000.
I love that.
There's so many accounts. I love Fidelity, by the way. There's so many accounts.
Robinhood now.
Robinhood. You can start for free. Just log on, open an account, and you can start off as little as $10 every time you get paid. Anything.
Just to get into the habit.
Yeah, just to get into the habit, because it's consistency. It's consistency that is gonna help you, achieve what you want to achieve at the end of the day. And and especially myself, I'm not immune to trying to chase the quick money, because you have these fads that come around. And it's like, if you're not educated on it, so like some of the things, I remember during the pandemic, option trading.
Oh my God.
Was big.
Option trading is dangerous.
Or FX trading was big. And I'm not saying these things are a scam or anything like that, but it takes a highly skilled professional to actually use that. And the way that you see people online using it is not even how it's supposed to be used. It's more so for risk, And it's tempting when you see everyone, I just put down $100. And
yeah, but like, look, man, when there's these highly skilled here's what I'm not saying FX trading, option trading, drop shipping. I'm not saying any of that is a scam.
Crypto NFTs,
whatever it is. But I don't like when there's people who blow up in these things and then they try to monetize based upon the desperations of others who know they need the money.
Yeah.
Give me $50 to be part of the course and I'll teach you everything. Give me $50 a month to be part of this thing. No, man. By the time someone's over here selling a course, I could almost guarantee you that industry is done for, bro. It's done for. And anybody who has real money and real wealth will give you the game for free. The real game for free. That's what I've learned.
Yep.
They'll give you the real game for free.
And actually, the game is already out there.
It's free.
A lot of people just don't.
The problem, do you know what's the problem?
Time.
It takes, exactly. Yeah. The game is out there. The thing is, everyone can get rich. The problem is, it's going to take you a long time.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that time. Yeah. Not everybody wants it today, right? Unfortunately, maybe you start a little later in your life, in your 30s, and you feel like, wow, like, how am I going to have $1 million by the time I retire? That's a real deal, bro. Like, we're in our 30s, in our 40s. There's people who have no savings yet. Yeah. There's people that I talk to who have no savings yet. They have no idea. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do when you're 50, 60 years old? You're going to be working till you're 90, 80 years old, living off of Social Security? Who knows if the Social Security fund is going to be there when we get there? I knew since I was very young, I want to know, I don't mind working 20s, 30s, 40s, but in my 50s, I want to be able to start talking about, like, is work optional for me, truly optional, because I've done all the legwork to get to a place where my retirement accounts, my brokerage account, my IRA, my life insurance, any crypto that I have, who knows what's going to happen with that, the VC investing that I'm doing. Can I get out of the rat race and do my own thing, whatever my life's passions may be at that point? Who knows what it may be? I may take a year sabbatical, bro. You ever see people who take year sabbaticals and just go off to Fiji and be like, let me go figure it out?
Yep.
Yeah, I want to be able to do that if I want to get there to that point. I want to be able to put my kids in good private schools or good school districts or make them live in the best neighborhoods. But you can't do that without you being disciplined enough to have put away the money that you needed in order for it to compound over time. And yes, a lot of people didn't talk about that when we were younger, but nobody has an excuse now. The internet is in everybody's hands.
It's there. And it's never too late. So don't watch this and like, damn, I don't have any savings and all that. Start now. You start somewhere. You have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. You have to start somewhere.
And it's going to suck. It's going to suck. Like in the beginning, you're like, oh, this is not really growing, but you have to get into the habit of it. It's the habit. Create the good habits. That's it.
So let's talk about, I guess, what are you exploring now? Like, what are some of the nuances that you're like, oh, okay, now that you got the foundation? And I advise everyone, I'm not a financial advisor, but I advise everyone, start off at the boring, easy stuff, real estate, stocks. But now, once you kind of establish in that, what are like the new things?
Once you get into like the vanilla stuff, which again, to expand on your list, like the 401k,
401k, yeah.
right? High yield savings account that has 3 to 6 months of emergency funds, right? So you got your 401k, your emergency fund, your taxable brokerage, your Roth IRA, right? Your whatever, or your Roth or pre-tax IRA, whatever it's called. And then you can get into more exotic stuff, is like what my financial advisor likes to call it, right? Like, so once all that is filled up, those are your basics, put it to the side. Now you can get into PE investing, right? Private equity.
Private equity, yeah.
Right? But private equity, you need to have you need to be a accredited investor, meaning that you need to, I think the SEC definition is you have to have made 250,000 over the last 2 years, right? Depending on what it is, or have a certain amount of net worth.
Yeah.
Right? And some of these private equity funds have minimums that you have to get into. So the really big guys like KKR and Blackstone, they're probably not taking individuals because you need multi-mults. Unless you are, and first of all, anybody who's going to invest in that way wouldn't invest as an individual. They invest as a corporate, right?
Yeah.
For tax purposes. But putting those guys aside, a lot of the time you need some sort of like minimum threshold investing. Or you can get into angel or venture capital investing, right? If you want to take much more. Now that's very risky, right? Because most angels, most startups are going to fail. But you're not
about these platforms because now
there's
like
accelerators and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, there's like I think there was like a platform called Angel Investing or something like that. I'm not sure how well the companies on those platforms did, but what do you think about those, or is that?
I haven't really looked into those much. I've been doing. So from what I'm understanding from the VC and the angel investing world, it's a very close-knit circle of people, right? They're not just letting anybody in. So there was platforms like that, but the way I got into mine is actually a friend of mine, right? Who I mean, shout out to Payne McCoy, who started up a legal AI company called Greenshoe, right? I read and he was always coming to me for advice. Like, you know, what do you think about this? Like from a capital markets perspective, from a lawyer. So I would like test the technology, like, oh, this can really work. And, you know, I really didn't get into it, but I've always wanted to get into like investing in companies.
Yeah.
And I was like, this would be a really good way for me to do it, right? So, you know, we negotiated a safe note. I'm a holder of the equity of the safe note. So when it converts into equity, I'll own a part of the company. And he's doing very well now. You guys can go look it up on Yahoo Finance. There was a big briefing of him closing out his round. He got a big anchor investor out of San Francisco. So, and now he's closing deals like left and right. So, Payne, keep doing your thing, baby. Keep doing your thing. Get it to the moon.
What you called it?
It's called Greenshoe.ai.
Greenshoe.ai. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a legal AI company startup, and he's doing phenomenal. He left his big law job to go find this company with his co-founder, and they're killing it right now, man. So congratulations to him. But how he got the initial investors was to do these accelerator programs where you can find other, like you go and basically pitch for like quick money, like 100,000 investments, $10,000, whatever you may need.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then after that, you know, you go ahead and invest the money and do what you can to start up your company. But that's highly, highly, highly risky because most of these companies are going to fail. Right. So only invest with money that you're willing to part with. So if you have 100,000, you want to spread it against 10 companies, throw 10K, who cares?
Yeah.
Some people are really like passionate about one company and they'll just throw everything in one. But
yeah, what's the stats on that? They say like for every 10 companies you invest in, only one may survive, but then the one covers.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. You just need one that covers all the losses.
Yeah.
You have a unicorn that gave you 20, 30x of your, do you care about the ones that you lost? No, you didn't. It was a lotto ticket, right? Like that's what it is. So private equity investing, now there's private credit, right? So now you can become a private lender, right? There's hard money loans you can get into if you have enough, right? For people, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can get into, but you need to accumulate a certain amount of wealth before you get into that. Yeah. Once you have money, you have options.
Yeah, yeah. And then do you get into like, have you gone into like the whole tax haven stuff and like how to save now?
What do you mean?
How to shelter the money now?
Man, everything's in the U.S., man. Where you at with that? No, we're starting to get into dark territory there. We're starting to get into like, you know, shelling stuff. Nah, The IRS knows everything that I make and everything that I hold. We're not putting stuff in the Cayman Islands, into Jersey, into Guernsey, and stuff like that. Nah, we're not doing. I don't do that. That's when it starts getting a little much.
Yeah.
A little much.
Yeah.
What about crypto? You were invested in crypto?
Crypto, I still do. Like, say if, it's like 10% of my investing, what I do. Like, I'll still put into Bitcoin out, but actually, I've shifted it now to, I don't even want to have my own wallet or anything like that. So now I've bought the what is it, BlackRock. They have
The ETF?
the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. So I'll do that. So it's just easier and it's right there. It's super liquid. We won't have issues like we had earlier today. We're like,
Well, the company doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, the company doesn't exist. My Ethereum was on one network. I can't even bridge it. To
We may have lost his money.
Yeah, no.
Thank God it was a small amount of money, because if it was a large amount of money, I
we'd
would have
be
been
sick
tight.
right
I'll
now.
be
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to deal with remembering passwords and all that, or phrases. So I keep everything simple. Just if it's on the market, there's an ETF for it.
Yeah.
I'm investing that.
Crypto is my fun money. So I invest $21 a day in crypto.
Oh, okay.
So I'm breaking it between Bitcoin is the bulk of it. So I'll throw $15 in that, and then I'll throw like the rest of it into like these two other coins that I have. And I'm just like, you know what it is for me? Literally,
Mm-hmm.
let me see what happens in 20 years.
Yeah.
Let me see what happens in 20 years. I'm gonna throw $15 every day, and I throw we spend $15 every day on BS,
Yeah.
right?
Especially in New York.
In New York.
Yeah,
Just breathing tells $15, right?
Coffee is $15.
Right. A matcha the other day was $9.50.
Yeah.
$9.50. Crazy. So anyway, so I throw $15 every day in Bitcoin. And you know what? I tell my dad all the time, it goes to zero, I don't care.
Yeah.
If it goes to the moon, great. If I get exactly what I get out of it in 20 years because I put in $15 every day and that's what I get back, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's, everybody needs that fun
Exactly.
thing that you do. That's like 5-6% of my portfolio.
Yeah. One thing I learned though, and I finally, the lesson has hit home. If I was to take the money that I lost on trading options, on buying NFTs, oh man, bro, if I would have took that money and just been boring, I would have a lot. I would be in a better place. I don't even want to say the number because it's embarrassing. But
How much did you spend on NFTs, bro?
I don't even want to say it. It's bad.
You spent a lot of money on NFT, like a lot of money. Okay, give us a ballpark. You don't have to give us the exact number. Was it less than 50K?
Oh yeah, less than 50.
Okay.
Yeah, less than 50K.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah.
More than 10,000?
More than 10,000.
Okay, that's all we need.
That's
Damn.
I mean, when you think
You
about
thought
it,
you was gonna hit the home run. You thought you was gonna get a lick.
that's what I'm saying. 10,000 isn't like, it's 10,000. 10,000, I'm like, what I could do with that. Because 10,000 is a good starting point when I'm like, I could do something with that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's more than 10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, but you also sold Bitcoin early too. Mike,
Oh yeah.
Mike, you need to tell that story. See, the pain also matters for the people.
Yeah. But I learned to not count that. You can't count the money that you never had. But I was an early investor in Bitcoin, like probably like 2012. I gotta look at my ledger to see. But like 2012, I had it, and then everybody was telling me, "What are you doing? This is a scammer project," things like that. But when you think about it, 2012, I probably invested maybe like $2,000 in it, or $3,000 or something like that, which isn't a lot of money. But I don't know, maybe back then that was a lot of money to me because like I didn't lose money. I actually got it on a profit as well. Like I sold it when I had a profit. But if I would have just kept it in there, I did not need $2,000 or $3,000 at that point. Man, I'll be in a much better place.
You would have had 100 Bitcoin. You would have like, yeah. But the point is, that's why I hold. That's why I hold.
Yeah.
I hold everything. I hold the losses. I hold the profits, unrealized gains. I don't need the money.
Yeah.
I don't need the money right now. That's why I have the cash in the high yield savings account or my sinking fund for whatever I want to do it with. I'm not going to take anything out of an investment to go buy something I don't need today, unless it's an absolute emergency and I need heart surgery, God forbid, one day. That's it. That's the only thing I'm taking something out for life.
So I feel like in the market. We have some stocks coming out that can be a life changer. So I felt like, and I felt this way with Facebook, with Tesla. I invested in them early. Even Palantir, I invested in it early, but then I cashed out
Why?
way too early. I don't know why. But I didn't need the money, but I cashed out. I feel like coming up, we got SpaceX, we got OpenAI about to come, we got Anthropics about to come. I feel like these are those ones that it's like, yo, throw 10,000 in and then keep continuing to invest. And then like 10 years from now, we're going to be like, yo, you should have kept it.
No, yes, you're right. I mean, I think in the SpaceX IPO, you can get into it. You can get in it. I think retail investors can get into it. The thing is,
now, right?
Yeah. The problem with IPOs is somebody who used to do IPOs is the people who make the money are the initial investors each and every time. It's very,
of course, and
it's very hard for retail investors to make money off a lick. That's why people go invest in penny stocks or in stocks that are pre-revenue. IPOs, bro. The person who's making the money is the shareholders and the founders. That's who's gonna make the money. Retail investors, yes, fine if you want. But the thing is, like Google,
but not immediately. I would say, yeah, because you tend to see this. You tend to see this, like when a stock IPOs, there might be an initial jump, but then there's going to be a sell off, right?
It was a sell off, the drop.
Yeah,
that's why there's lockup agreements and stuff like that in the back. So
yeah,
but
typically you want to get somewhere in the early stages of within the year, you want to get in, and if it's a company that you believe, hey, this is gonna be it's gonna be an Apple, it's gonna be a Google.
Yeah, but why don't you go find that a pre-revenue company that's already has an IPO stock that's you deemed undervalued? That's where the real value is at. Not the SpaceX's or the Facebooks or the thing that everybody knows is gonna be hot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta go find the small stocks that nobody knows about, the ones who are recycling nuclear energy or making nuclear energy that's gonna power those semiconductors or those data centers.
I mean, those are the hard ones to find. Those are like NVIDIA's been around for a long time.
Yes.
And it took them a while to skyrocket. If people would have knew, because I think NVIDIA was just associated with the gaming industry. And the computers and all that. Nobody thought like,
what about GameStop,
AI,
AMC,
and all that. You know,
that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy. People were making money off of AMC like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, man. The point is, I think of this entire conversation is that I think in our expat journey or me moving around a lot, it's caused me to be around a lot of different people of different types of socioeconomic statuses. But the one consistency around the people who I wanted to be like, who are people who live comfortable lives, that do a fair amount of luxury stuff, that still has their bases covered, is that there's an amount of consistency and plain vanilla-ness. I know that's not a word, but it's just being plain vanilla investors.
Yeah.
Right? Cover your bases, and then you get into the exotic stuff.
Yeah.
And you need to take some risks every once in a while if you want to make some real dough.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we got to normalize taking your time. That, you know, of course we see these stories of the 21-year-old that's a millionaire, billionaire.
I don't pay attention to that.
But I think we have to normalize, like, it's okay to take 10, 15 years to build up your wealth. Like, that's absolutely normal.
25 years.
25 years, actually. 20 years. That is actually normal. Yeah. And it's okay. You don't have to be instantly rich. You don't have to be a millionaire when you hit 30, you know? No. Just keep working hard and just being consistent.
That's it.
And it'll happen.
It'll happen. And hold your investments. Don't sell off early.
Yeah.
Right? Don't take advice from people who don't have anything.
Yeah. And don't take advice from us. Do your research. We just want to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, don't listen to us. It's not legal advice.
Trust the S&P has been around for longer than we've been alive. So do your research.
Don't be here after us too.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be here after us too. So anyway, hope you guys learned something from this. I think me and Mike are trying to do more evergreen educational episodes.
Yeah.
Can't always be serious, can't always be funny. And, you know, I think this is a good, like, just changing direction from, like, what we have going on this season in terms of, like, all the great interviews and the guests that we have.
Yeah.
And the amazing stories that you hear. I think it's sometimes interesting that you guys get to know about us, too. Like, we're human beings. We go through our own financial anxieties. We make bad decisions, too. But I think, like, at this stage, we're a little bit older, we're not gonna make those dumbass decisions that we used to make when we were younger, right? So anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. Again, like this video, share this video, comment, give us a follow across all of our socials at Last Flat Out Podcast. You can follow me, Jay, at JLubriel26 across all of my socials. You can follow Mike at
If Mike was here.
Thanks again for tuning in. See you guys next week, same time, same place.
My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
Flat
going
Out.
on, man?
Flat out.